Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time just getting ready? Let me be honest, I don't know a single thing that I haven't done to make you notice me. Let me be real here. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and waiting around. It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time.
Live from the Cardome Studio in Georgetown, Kentucky. Today is the Feast of the Exaltation of the Cross, Tuesday, September 14, 2021. And this is Deacons Discussions Drinks.
I don't know what I could say to convince you to hang around when you don't have to. There's so much that I'm still keeping to myself, 'cause you don't listen, babe. But still you got me missing you. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and
Playing this time. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Cardome Studio in Georgetown, Kentucky for another exciting, as always, discussion. I'm Deacon Tim Stout.
I'm Deacon Dallas Kelly.
I'm Father Lingwin.
Hey, it's been a minute.
A minute?
It's been a minute. That's what all the cool kids say. You know, haven't you heard that new saying?
No, I have not.
It's been a minute.
I never was one of the cool kids. I was a.
Uncool.
It's been a minute. And what that means, apparently, is the translation, it's been about a month. So it's been a while. That's how they say it's been a while
I had to
now.
cancel last time.
Yeah, you had to cancel. How's the hand? Can you get a close-up of that?
Is there a way? I don't know.
Yeah, he's looking at it. He's got you in there. Ouch.
Too much blessing. That's what happened.
What happened?
I had a ganglion cyst, and under that I had several bone spurs. One of them had totally severed my index finger tendon in half, and I had to have them grinded away.
Did they fix the tendon?
I was asleep. I don't know. I don't think they fixed the tendon because they said something about there's two tendons in your index finger. Something. I was groggy. I don't remember.
And you only need one?
And you only need one.
Well, don't break it.
Was that the reason from that beautiful basketball shot you won that time? Do you still have that sound?
I think I do. Just one second
yeah.
here. Let me see if I can cue
That's
that.
when I
could be.
had both tendons attached to that finger.
But after that shot, it twisted.
24 seconds left to play. They trail by one, 83-82. Dallas Kelly, right-hand corner, back outside of Mark Linton. Now to Darrell Beal. On the baseline of Lee Gales. Drives, puts it up, hits the side of the board. Scott's got it. Flips it over his shoulder. Gales gets it. Now to Kelly. It's tipped it in.
See?
Dallas Kelly.
You fell down and
Tipped it in.
Catch
with
yourself.
7
Dallas
seconds left to
Kelly.
play in overtime.
That was my one moment in the spotlight.
I love that. I do. Everybody should have a moment like that in their lives, you know?
I remember it like it was yesterday. Still remember it.
it's a minute.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute, Dallas.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, when I found that tape here about a year ago and I played it, I remember. That's how time does over your memory. I thought it was just in regulation, that shot, but it was actually in overtime. We went in overtime. I don't remember that part.
Well, it's been a minute.
It's been 42 years.
Let's see how many times we'll say that tonight. That'll be something crazy.
It was 42 years since that shot.
What's been going on in the world? Anybody know?
Well, Dallas just celebrated 60th birthday, right?
That was yesterday. That's old news.
It's been
Yeah.
a minute.
It's been a
I
minute
woke
since you
up
turned
and
60.
I needed a cane. It was all a mental thing.
Dallas Kelly, 60 years old.
6-0.
So how many years ago did you hit that winning basket?
42 years ago.
42 years. When's the last time you shot a basketball?
41 years ago. No, it was. I played ball in a league in Toyota up till I was 40. Then my son was born.
So you played at Toyota in the
Yep.
Wow.
Played quite a bit up there in all those leagues. And
Never got hurt? No knees or anything?
No. Played till I was 40 in those leagues, and then son was born, stayed home to help out, and never saw a ball again.
Gave up basketball and fishing all in the same year, probably, didn't you?
No, I didn't give up fishing that same year. I did give up fishing once. I gave up fishing once our classes started. That's when I gave up fishing.
Yeah.
Didn't have time for
That's been 8 years ago?
8 years ago.
ago.
And now I've recently taken it back up once I retired from Toyota.
But you pick up watching golf. No, he's the only guy
I love
obsessed with golf. I never play.
And doesn't play.
Never
Doesn't
play. Never pick up a club, but I love golf.
My golf clubs are right inside my garage door, and I look at them all the time. And I think about it.
Anybody watch the U.S. Open this past week?
Tennis?
No.
Tennis.
Yeah, I did.
The one girl, and I don't know her name, from England.
I've become quite the tennis fan here lately.
First qualifier, which means she had to play her way into the tournament to win a major tennis tournament ever. 18 years old,
18.
I mean. First qualifier
And
to
she
ever
played
win
a
a major.
19-year-old, didn't she? She
She
played
was
another
two teenagers.
yeah.
So, yeah, from Canada. I think somebody from Canada and somebody from England.
A lot of good tennis. I was up there. I was up in New York, right there, about there to see a Mets Dodgers game, and I told my son, I said, Jake, man, you need to get some tickets to this U.S. Open. I think it's going to be a good thing to come up and live in New York. Might as well go do it. And it was a great tournament. A lot of exciting stuff.
And
for sure.
Djokovic was going to try to be the first player since Ron Laver to win all 4 majors in 1 year, and he lost in the finals.
Straight sets, right? I think he lost.
I don't remember the score.
I think he lost in straight sets. Yeah, he played the Russian Mendevev. Steve, a big tennis fan over there? No. We're baseballing, right? We got a big baseball game we're going to Friday night.
Friday night.
3 of us are going. You're going to Texas, right?
I'm going to Texas to preach.
We're going to watch the hopefully the defending world champions and the soon to be 2-time world champion Los Angeles Dodgers against the Cincinnati Reds. So that should be exciting. So
soon to be 2-time. They've only won 1 World Series?
I should say back to back. Let me just rephrase that, back to back.
I was like, the Dodgers had to win.
Oh yeah, they've got lots of world championships. So.
And we have a sub priest this weekend since you're going out of town.
Yeah, we have a sub priest coming. He worked with an organization called Cross Catholic.
What's that mean?
Across the world, they are focused on fundraising, not directly from the parish, but individual contribution to help third world country. It's under a lot of support from many bishops and priests. So he is a priest that actually assigned volunteer to work for that organization. So they come to preach. So I'm going down to Summersville.
You're not going to see mom and dad. You're going for mission appeal?
Mission appeal, but swing by see mom and dad as well. So stop by mom and dad first and then go push further down south, west, I guess, to Austin, west of Austin.
I mean, you're in the neighborhood. Right, it's just probably another 2 or 3, 4 hours, right?
Just about 4 hours.
It's like I remember the first time I went to out west, and I was in Seattle, and my boss at the time, he was from England. He said, while you're out there, could you go down to Los Angeles and see some customers down there? And I'm like, Seattle to Los Angeles is a long way. Yeah. So Texas is pretty big, so you got a lot of traveling to do.
Lots of
you driving?
Driving,
yes. So mission appeal, won't the church pay for you to fly for that?
No.
They play per mile.
They play, but you go down there, then you still have to have a vehicle. Right?
Well, they'll rent you a car, too.
Then you rent a car, then it build up pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, one trip I did recently, rent a car. I think it was No. It was not a trip. I rent a car because somebody scraped my truck, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Rental cars are not.
To fix it.
Rental cars are crazy right now.
And it was, I think, $200 for a compact vehicle. $200 a day.
Yeah, it's crazy. They were $500 a day in Hawaii.
Is that
right? Yeah, and it's all because of COVID, right?
People started renting U-Hauls because they were cheaper.
Yeah.
Use them for your car instead of
that's what's going on in this world, right?
Yep.
Craziness. Have you been to the grocery store lately?
I haven't, no.
Have you been?
No.
Steve, you been to the grocery store lately? The shelves are like
Empty?
pretty
Again?
much.
What
Yeah.
happened?
There's not enough truck
There's
drivers.
snow on the way.
No, there's.
Milk and bread. Milk and bread.
I mean, you can't find truck drivers. Can't get goods delivered. Can't get stuff out of the ports to get from the stuff that comes in from China in a container goes into a port, and you can't get them out of the ports to get the containers empty to get them back to China to fill the stuff back up. It's a vicious circle. And I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But the root cause is COVID. So here we are. Who would have thought in August of 2020 that we would be here in August of 2021? And let's just take a random poll. There's 4 of us in here. Who thinks 2021 is worse than 2020? Yeah, that's 4 for 4. It's like 2021 said, hold my beer.
Yeah. But, we supposedly, number-wise, are the worst ever, right?
Yes.
Positivity rate and everything. Worst ever.
Right.
And yet the stadiums are full with no mask. Did they say we can't take that money blow 2 years in a row? And
I think that's what it is.
Yep.
Do you think that's what it is? I mean, what else could it be?
Yeah.
I mean, really, it has to be money.
It's always the power of the dollar. It's necessary. So,
I mean, and it obviously affects church, right? We're still outside. That's still going pretty good, right? A couple hundred there, 150 to 200.
no,
We-
last weekend is I think 220 something.
We did mass counts last weekend, right?
Yes.
It's a couple weeks. I mean, our attendance is off overall, don't you think? A little
No,
bit.
This week, the attendance count, I would say about over 500 attended.
Yeah, but at our peak, we were well over that, weren't we?
Yeah, on our peak, probably 700.
So it's a pretty big
Well,
impact
if
on
we
us.
add the live stream, Steve was mentioned there was over 300 hit for us at Mass last week. So
Yeah, that's been good for us. And I think we got it down pretty good, don't we, Steve? I mean, Steve's trying to win an Emmy, just so y'all know. Every week he's trying to win an Emmy. And he does have an Emmy. You've won an Emmy, right? Seven Emmys.
There you
I mean,
go.
this-
7 Emmy. Wow, we're in royalty.
Can you bring one in? Can we just set one up here? I mean, how many podcasts at this level have a videographer,
Emmy
Who's-
Award winner. You got
a
to
seven-time Emmy Award winner videographer? I mean, that's amazing.
Well, our parish is amazing. We don't know, like besides Steve, about a month ago, I worked with a gentleman, about his marriage, and he has 2 gold medals and 7-time world champion kickboxing.
Wow.
Don't mess around with that guy.
Don't make him mad.
Don't, did you tell his wife? Don't make him mad. The funny thing about that is, I think in a parish like this, we don't know who our people are,
Exactly.
right? I mean, we know them because we see them at church and we give pleasantries and all those things. But do we really know who's in this parish? That's what we should do. We should find these guests that have these interesting stories. Like, I mean, maybe we could go find somebody who's won 7 Emmys and put them on the show and
think
interview.
we
them,
should.
Absolutely.
You know?
Nobody even knows what Steve looks like, really.
Yeah, he had a pretty popular Facebook post this week. He was behind the camera interviewing Chrissy Ellison, right? It was a good post. Findlay 5K's coming up this weekend, I think. Packet pickup was last weekend. Findlay 5K's this weekend. Big event in the community. So if you signed up for that, good luck this weekend.
Does
on
that do anything to the masses?
I don't know.
That's first I heard of it.
That first time I heard it, I thought it's over.
No,
It's not virtual, right?
it's real.
It's real.
It's real.
We need to find times and closings of streets and
Right.
wow.
Maybe we should look that up real quick.
Yeah. You have a sub priest coming in and there's no mass.
Saturday at 6. Is that what Steve said? Saturday, September 18th, 6 p.m. So there you go. So mass will be going on right in the middle. So probably pretty low attendance. I'll take that mass, Dallas.
Would the street be closed though?
Yeah.
Military? Do
So
they
they have
close
no
military
mass.
that far down?
I don't think they close military. We'll have to find out about that. If anybody's watching, send Dallas a text that knows the answer to that
Well,
question.
in the past, that we did close because of Finley 5K.
Well, we were closed last weekend, right, because of the Festival of the Horse.
Festival of the Horse, I know that Finley 5K, they block military. They block Main Street because the takeoff point is at Georgetown Gideon entrance. And so that's where they start.
All right.
Well, I'm
Well,
surprised Gina Stewart have not informed Father Lynn. Gina Stewart, you hear this? You're in trouble.
well, I didn't mean to cause such controversy right at the opening of the show.
Well,
Yeah, I did, but I was hoping for a different topic than that. So what else is going on? Any other current events? Y'all want to talk about anything?
I don't know. You want to talk about anything? I don't have a current event. Does anybody have a current
you don't?
event? I don't have a current event.
Well, I do.
Okay.
Few days ago, right? What day? It was yesterday. And I got a phone call from a priest. Told me, did you hear about Christ the King? I said, Christ the King what? And so it turned out the priest there was required by Bishop John to announce to all his parishioners, let them know that they have not been vaccinated. And so that exploded.
I actually had the audio from that.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
So can
Just
we hear it?
audio only. We bring this up, Steve. Just 1 second. Ready? You can use whatever graphic you want on this. Here we go.
The bishop has asked that Father David and I, Father John, I'm speaking for Father John, make an announcement that we are not vaccinated so people could decide if they want to attend masses that we're celebrating. And also the priests, and this has been done throughout the diocese, those priests that are not vaccinated are to follow the COVID protocol in the liturgy, and they are not allowed to visit the sick or elderly that are homebound. Father John and Father David, again, have not been vaccinated. Thank you.
Boom.
There you go.
Wow. I said something to Steve about that, and I think Steve said, didn't that kind of defeat the purpose of being a priest, not being able to visit the homebound?
I don't know. That's kind of interesting because prior to vaccination, was priests allowed to visit homebound?
Yes.
Yes, right?
Yes.
I remember that discussion prior to vaccination because there was a process of talking about how to anoint people with cotton dab and make sure that cotton put somewhere. And now what? You not vaccinated and you're not allowed to do anointing? Quite interesting.
Tim, my first question was, and not just this, where you see it on tons of stuff on the news, and you're a scientist, right?
I consider myself a scientist, yes. I love numbers.
Can or does an unvaccinated person pass on the virus any more than a vaccinated person?
I am not a virologist. It's a good question, and I think the problem
I've always
is
heard no.
No, that's the answer that I've heard as well, and I think that's obviously there's a lot of confusion, and you brought it up. Stadiums are full. If we were in such a grave situation right now, wouldn't we have canceled masses? Wouldn't it be
Correct.
live stream only? Wouldn't there be nobody in the stadiums? I think that it's become a political issue, and now it's that news that news made national news from our diocese, made national news.
There you go.
Catholic News Agency. So, I don't have a solution. I mean, the bishop would say, get vaccinated. That's a solution. But is it the solution, to your point, right? Because if you're passing on the virus, what if a priest has a condition, medical condition? Does he have to come out and tell everybody that he's...
Yeah, all I talked to the priest was inform all of them. Those who have not been vaccinated will have to make it public that had not been vaccinated. The thing that disturbed me is it's almost we call it the Scarlet Letter. You know, it disturbed me to the point that maybe this coming Sunday I will need to put on my vestment vaccinated. Right?
What was the Scarlet Letter? Was it an A?
It was.
It's an A.
Yeah.
Yes, it was an A.
Yeah.
So we have to start with the V.
The V.
The V.
You know, the church for the longest time has always had an exemption for conscious objection. And I'm not talking about religious objection. There's a difference between religious objection and forming your conscience and objecting to something.
Right.
And that's something that the church, man, forever. Hadn't it been really forever? I mean, I don't ever remember it not being a part of it. And they ask our legislators to include that in legislation.
Yeah, every law that's ever passed.
And then to get to this point where, you know, COVID obviously is the most serious thing that we've faced in our lifetimes, but it's not the most serious thing that mankind's ever faced, right? I mean,
No.
not as serious as the bubonic plague, not as serious, some would argue, as even the 1918 Spanish flu. You know, it's just different these days because of how interconnected we are. I get that. And I'm not anti-vaccination, so don't send Dallas texts or post up on the Facebook. It says Deacon Tim anti-vax. I'm not anti-vaccination. All of my kids have been fully vaccinated with all the stuff. I'm vaccinated. You're vaccinated. You're vaccinated. Steve's vaccinated. You know, it's not a question of that. It's just this question of where does personal liberty start for someone who makes a decision based on an informed conscience? And I don't have the answer to that. I formed my conscience. I became vaccinated. So, sounds like if you're a priest, what's the protocol there? What happens then if I mean, man, there's so many ethical issues there. What happens if somebody calls you up and you're vaccinated, so this wouldn't apply to you, but let's say you were unvaccinated, somebody called you up to come to the hospital, somebody was dying, they wanted last rites. Are you supposed to refuse that?
You have no faculty. The bishop already canned you already. Unless they're critical, then you could bypass that by canon law.
I mean, I just think it brings up a lot of questions. I just, one of the things I think that as Americans, not speaking as a deacon or as a Catholic, but speaking as an American now, I think one of the things that's never really worked well in this country is when we tell somebody they've got to do something that's against their will. It just never ends up well, ever. So, anyway, I guess we've killed the COVID discussion. You got anything else to say on that? Any comments over there? Anybody say anything? No?
Yeah, they have a few things, but
Okay. Nothing urgent. Dallas is the moderator. Thank God.
But again, for me, it's soon to be seen. Okay, gonna be tough. You know, when Bishop John did that, there were few conversation in relation to we have clergymen, you all deacons.
Yep.
And I do know they're all deacons are not vaccinated.
Yep.
Are they not allowed to
visit the
sick? I do know there are lay people, right? Give out communion, homebound visit. Or they put that restriction on too? I don't know. This thing. Where are we gonna go with this?
Yeah. Do we have to have a COVID card for somebody to give out communion?
Yeah.
COVID vaccination.
And also,
Ordinary
the
minister.
people go into church. Are we restrict them to? You know, if you go in and say, do we have to do vaccination checkup before you step in? Because many other institutions will attempt to do that, right?
Yes. Yes, they will. I mean, I think there's going to be, from a secular perspective, the mandate that's coming from the government, the U.S. government, from the Biden administration will come through OSHA, which is going to issue an emergency declaration that all employers of 100 or more employees will require vaccination. That will go to the Supreme Court, I think, relatively quickly.
Quickly, I believe, too.
Yeah. I mean, this, as I was alluding to earlier, the supply chain in this country is messed up right now significantly. Just go try to buy, a car, a house, buy any appliances.
My first question is, if it's that serious, why is your limit 100? Anybody
that's a jurisdiction issue with OSHA. So I mean, I think they would do it lower if they could, but there's an enforcement side of this too, which is where I was going. How are you going to enforce this?
Exactly.
The government has a lot more tools at its disposal than the church does, but the church is not a government institution, and so everybody has a right. I mean, one of the things that we hear from Pope Francis is bring everybody in, right? Bring them all in. The other side of it is, I use the pro-abortion argument, my body, my choice. That gets thrown out the door, and then somebody says, well, you're affecting other people. Well, an abortion, you're killing a baby. I mean, there's just so many things that
don't jive.
That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I do put my scientist hat on, Dallas, because I do still kind of keep track of the numbers a lot. And I'll be honest with you, the statistics that I see are quite staggering, but the actions as a result of the statistics are so different this time. And I'm not just talking about lockdowns. I'm not suggesting lockdowns or any of that stuff, but just, fans in the stands. I mean, that's a huge one.
With
school,
no mask, sitting right beside each other.
Right. School. School's another one of those things. Totally different. And I'm glad. I mean, my wife's obviously a school teacher, and, it's hard on her teaching with a mask on, but I think she'd rather be doing that than she would be, Zooming. Yeah, because Zooming is horrible. And the kids, it's a lot better for them this way than what's Zooming, because, it's going to take years to catch these kids up. Years. So I hope the church has already been hurt. I mean, the whole country's been hurt bad by COVID, but the church has been especially hurt by COVID, and especially the Catholic Church, because, our live streaming and canceling those masses is different. We've talked about this on this show, is different for a Catholic than it is for any other denomination.
Correct.
And when a Catholic person has a faith that allows them to walk away from that because they don't have to go to mass. Maybe they were marginal on the real presence, and now, our church, our society, the culture today has basically told somebody, hey, it's not really that important, you can just watch it on TV. That's different for us. And it to me, I don't know what the long-term effects are going to be, but it is going to be super challenging for us to get back to, if we're at 500, to get back to 700. And it would take 10 plus years, I think. That's my estimate. Do you think it'll have any impact on clergy as far as, there's not a protocol. I guess there's a protocol for a deacon to take a leave of absence. I guess I'm assuming there's a protocol for a priest to take a leave of absence if he wants to.
Yeah, there is a protocol, but the expectation that Bishop John put out, it kind of abrupt. And there's not really a standard or ways to deal with this situation. So the question for me personally asks, so if that two priests, like at the cathedral, they have the most parishioner,
right?
Both of them been hung from any homebound visit whatsoever if they persistent in not being vaccinated. So what we'll do? What will happen to that ministry?
Yeah, the parishioners that
Exactly.
they've got some hospitals over there.
Just a few.
Relatively close.
So that's a lot. So right now, all this is very ambiguity for us, waiting. So what the next protocol that Bishop John going to put it out? So, but just I spent a lot of time conversation with a lot of priests. Last night, yesterday, to see some perspective, but nobody's really know anything. What will happen? So.
What do you think?
Amen. I was busy trying to get back online. Something froze up. I thought we lost our broadcast. Can you repeat all that in the last 10 minutes?
Oh, you're cracking me up, Dallas. Dallas Kelly. So, hey, we're supposed to talk about the topic of the day.
The person of Jesus Christ.
Could you clarify that?
Well,
I think you should.
what kind of person was Jesus Christ? Anybody got any comments?
Well, he's the second person of the Trinity.
Right. Did he have, how many natures did he have?
Jesus,
Nature.
Two natures.
a human nature and a divine nature.
nature.
He was
How
100%
many-
human.
How many wheels did he have?
He was.
Two.
I thought you
Divine
said wheels. Wills.
Wheels.
Wills.
Wheels. A divine wheel and a human wheel.
Right.
What else before we get to the main one?
100% human, 100% divine.
100% human. But here's the key point.
Here's the
You
key
ready?
point. There you go.
You ready? Anybody out there? Anybody watching? I know you're commenting on this stuff. Comment on this. You ready? Was Jesus a human person?
No.
Let's
I love what they say. Human.
Human.
My wife gets on me all the time for not making H sounds.
Human.
Humidity.
Human.
Humidity and human. Jesus was not a divine or a
Human. Human.
person.
There you go.
He was a divine person. Somebody said sinless. He was sinless.
Yes, he was sinless without sin. But,
That's why he is the divine person. That's
Right.
a sinless.
well, Mary was sinless.
Mary was sinless, and she was a human person.
You know, this is confusing.
Go try to figure all that out. I'm glad somebody smarter than me figured all that out. Because I would have guessed Jesus was a human person and divine person, but he wasn't. He was just a divine person. Right?
He is the person divinely.
Yes.
That's it.
Right.
Nobody's commenting. That's great.
So they must all get it. They must all get it. Okay.
I
go
think-
ahead.
So the point is why? What make that special, significant, in his redemption? That's very important to ask. If he is a human person, can he save us?
No.
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 Right.
Has to be God.
Yeah.
Or he would have just sent Moses or somebody else to save us,
That's
right?
it. He had to be the divine person in order to save.
It's still moggling when you try to break all that down.
Interesting. Human person. So when we put this topic together, this is our part 2 here, the person of Jesus Christ. What was your thoughts on what you wanted to kind of relay?
I think it's important. Like today, I was preaching to the kids the exaltation of the cross. You know, too many of us, we kind of, okay, the cross, we all wear one, right? I asked the kid, how many of you see this I held up in your home? Only a handful of them got it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How many of you see this in the classroom? A lot of them more hand.
For all the classrooms have them.
Yeah.
Right?
I do know,
Mine better have it.
you know, a lot of them know what it is. So I talk about it. You know, I talk about The exaltation of the cross, you know what that cross means. So a bit more graphic. In modern day, we probably say exaltation of the electric chair, or the exaltation of the noose, that choke people's neck. And that I let them hear the whole story, how the Roman killed people, describe them through this. But yet God conquered that. How important it is to be reminded with that crucifixion. Why the church put that thing at the center. Remember the time was back in the 70s up to 80, Jesus no longer on that crucifix. We have a resurrect Jesus.
Yeah.
We have all this cute Jesus.
Broken chain Jesus.
Yeah.
And then the church came, put that corpse on there. That's the reason.
Well, even Paul said, "I preach Jesus. We preach Jesus crucified."
Crucified. Yeah. And it my fear that we kind of lost Jesus, kind of been put him into a box, and not any box, a kind of that cadaver, nice chocolate box, make him really cute, but instead of truly see his redemption, and that bring about. So I told the kid, I challenged them, make sure, touch the cross. Before you go to bed, go up there and touch it. Before you go in the classroom, everybody touch it. Before you leave the classroom, touch it. It got to be reminded. So the same thing, that's why for me, that topic of person of Jesus Christ is so critical. Because if we lost that important, like people nowadays, kids, they know more about the story of Batman. You know what I'm saying? They can tell you the whole legend of Batman, but they could not tell the legend of Jesus Christ. And that is what the backbone and the core of what we believe.
And just like this weekend, the readings, Jesus asked, "Who do people say that I am?"
Yeah.
And I listened to your homily. It was pretty good. You talked about commitment. It can't be a partial commitment. It's got to be a full commit. You can't just say, "Yes, Jesus, I love you," and then go sit on the couch.
Exactly.
It's a call to action. The cross is a call to action.
That's right.
It's a call to change who you are and to model yourself after that cross.
Exactly.
It ironically, this is one of the first homilies that I ever gave was on the Exaltation of the Cross. It was actually, I number mine. It was number 5. And I had a quote in there. I think it's a great quote from St. Theodore of Studium. "How splendid the cross of Christ. It brings life, not death, light, not darkness, paradise, not its loss. It is the wood on which the Lord, like a great warrior, was wounded in hands and feet and side, but healed our wounds. A tree has destroyed us. A tree now brings us life."
There you go. You see, that a deep reflection of that is, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's salvation history.
There.
Right there, those 3 sentences, salvation history. You probably would go a little deeper than that, but...
Yeah, I would have gone that deeper. And don't we read salvation history at the Easter Vigil?
All 22.4 readings. No, I mean, I think... and I was thinking about this the other day, before we were talking about this, that we hear the story, we hear the gospel in such a way now that it becomes, it doesn't become it's just a story.
Right.
Irrelevant. Yeah, it's so long ago, I know I'm saved, through faith and works, right? Faith and works. Like you said, Batman's a bigger story than Jesus Christ. And if we can't get our kids and our adults really to embrace the humanity of Jesus, then we're in trouble.
Exactly.
Because by embracing that humanity, it's what It's what we're called to do. It's how we become better people. I don't become a better person because I do something that Dallas does or Father Lynn does, right? I do something because I emulate what Jesus taught us to do. Now, you may do some of those things, and I may emulate those off of you, but, the bottom line is there has to be this relationship with that person.
That divine person.
That divine person. Right, because he was perfection, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I think in the world today, we hear a lot of sound bites. I mean, even and Pope Francis does this too. He creates ambiguity. Help me out.
Ambiguity.
Yeah, that word. He's ambiguous because it's like, who am I to judge, right? Well, there's more to that story.
Yeah,
Right.
It's got to finish that.
Right. And I think that's what happens a lot of times in our church today is people hone in on a verse, they take it out of context, and it becomes their gospel, not the gospel. And
It gives them permission to keep doing what they're doing that the church says you can't do that,
And, I'm all for, Pope Francis, all are welcome. Come on in. Bring all your baggage with you. Come on in.
But once they're in there.
But once you're inside, not all things go.
Mm-hmm.
You
You
know,
start quoting Father Ron Knott. All are welcome, but not all things go.
I think I probably did hear that. From you,
And
right?
once they're in, what are you going to hear? What are you going to tell them?
I just think if we can't get that right, then everything starts to fall down in our faith. Whether you're talking about when life begins, abortion, whether you're talking about gay marriage. I mean, you preached about that. You gave a list this weekend, right? I understand.
I gave a long list.
But
Every time I gave it, I told Tim, every time I could see Father Lynn over there going, ooh. Ooh.
But this theology of our church, what makes it so great is it's all connected. And if you start stripping things away, then you've got these little silos that just blow over.
Exactly.
And that's not the faith that I love. That's not the faith that I strive to be better at every chance I get. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. We're all pretty good sinners. We've got that down pretty good. But you still have to strive to change who you are when you're in an environment or in a task or in a job or in a situation where you have a choice to make between what Jesus taught us to do, what he instructed us to do, because he didn't throw out the old law. He fulfilled it. But we like to hear people say, well, no, he really got rid of that. He got rid of that. Love. It's all just love. Love's a big part of it.
Yeah,
but it's not everything.
That's right. But it has turned into a catchphrase instead of the love that Jesus talked about is require a lot of commitment. It's not a feeling bubbling,
Right.
but it's about accepting will of the good, and it's an act of the will, and it's require a lot of commitment. And so for me, to return to the fundamental what we are of the person of Jesus Christ, that give us the backbone, if you will, the ground to build on, to recover what is missing, I think is important. So it requires a lot more conversation, because if we don't recover those, because everybody will fill in the gap.
Yeah.
Jesus, the baby lover. Jesus is a nice guy. Jesus teaches to love.
Yeah. I mean, even Paul says something is lacking in the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. I mean, that's biblical.
Mm-hmm.
And that really makes our Protestant brothers and sisters uncomfortable. I've had many conversations. But what is lacking is our participation to that suffering and death on the cross. We have to say yes to it and follow through with not just he died on the cross, and I sit back. I don't have to do anything.
That's right. It's so
Yeah.
removed, right?
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I think that's one of the things that really separates us from the Protestants. Really, if you really want to get down to just the core theology, and that is faith. It was one of the readings this weekend, right? Faith and works, right? Show me faith without works. I show you a lot of emptiness,
Right.
and I mean, it would be so easy to say, yeah, I'm saved. Just go on about my life. And I think that's what COVID is kind of doing to us as a church. You know, I'm a Catholic. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I don't have to go to church this weekend. I don't need to receive communion.
Yeah.
I love everybody. So I'm good.
I'm good. I'm a good person. You hear that a lot. I'm going to heaven. I'm a good person. You know, more to it than that.
So those are some lens I think it's important for further conversation at the church, as a catechist, as minister. We have to be indwelling of aware how important that is, so we can do our job to recover that at least in some capacity. You know, for me, this morning, the same thing, talk with the kid about the Exaltation and the cross. I was adamant about it, about how important it is. A home should have a crucifix. Should have. If not, every room should have.
How many crucifixes you got in your house?
Well, I stole one and put it in my classroom. So I probably got 4.
Yeah, I've got a lot of crosses. I probably got 4 or 5 crucifixes. So, I mean, it tells people who you are.
Exactly.
If a burglar ever breaks in, he's going to know what kind of house he's broken into. You too. I think, don't you have a wall full of crosses?
I do have 2 walls full of crosses, actually. So, I mean, you know, it means something to me.
Hmm?
Yeah.
You know, it's a goal. And not that I want to have to die for my faith in that way, but to know that, you know, Jesus went through what he went through for all of us, not just me, but for everyone. It takes this concept of love to something that it's hard to understand. You have to accept that type of love through faith, because you can't comprehend it. You know, the closest thing I think we get is the love for a mother for a child, but it goes beyond that, right? It's the love of a mother for a child she doesn't know, or the love of a father for a guy he doesn't even know. I mean, it's so hard for us to understand it that we have to put it into a mystery of our faith, that love that Jesus embodies for us, that you know, gave us in human terms what it meant to do, what it meant to love. It's so hard for us to understand. I don't think we can truly really understand it.
Right. But for me, we need more sacramental than ever. You know, that thing that signifies something to remind us. You know, university does wonder with that. You know, license plate, you know, Kentucky football. You know,
Marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah.
And we as Catholic Christian, we suck in marketing of the necessary stuff. You know, like I love that shirt you wear right there. You know, I'm reading it. You know, don't be afraid, you'll be a saint. And I look real cool. It's all the saints' name in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in there.
It's
One of my favorite shirts.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And we fail beginning with the best symbol in the church, or icon, if you will, the crucifix of Jesus Christ.
I mean, I often repeat this, and I repeated to my class, all 3 of my classes last week. And I've got this from somebody years ago. What's the only difference between saints and us? One difference. They chose to be one. That's all. That's it.
Right.
All it takes is you to choose to be a saint, and you can make it happen.
But
Now.
the other important part to remember, though, is every single one of those saints sinned.
Sinned, yeah.
Yeah. They placed sin before them.
Except for Mary.
Right. She was a human person without sin. The one human person without sin. Great conversation, guys. You know, there's one person in our lifetime currently, there's been more than one, that really understood marketing the Catholic Church.
Is?
Bishop Barron.
Oh, yeah.
Your friend. You preached about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to get him on the show, right?
You're all like that. You should be able to get him on the show.
Well, I haven't time to call him yet. But
Well, I think what we could do is we could do a road trip. Right, Steve?
California, L.A.
He's in L.A. You know, the Dodgers might be playing.
It might just be timed at a Dodgers ball game. Just coincidental.
So you hook it up. We'll get some sponsors to fly us out there, and we'll do a podcast live with Bishop Barron
there you go.
in L.A.
In L.A.
Yeah. What do you think?
It can happen, right?
Steve, you think can you get credentialed for that? Bishop Barron, great marketing guy. I mean, really, and a great catechist, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's his. He's doing what he
That's
was born to
his
do.
talent or
Yeah,
whatever.
he was born to do it for sure. So, you know, this is the first episode of this show where we didn't have the 26th Sunday or Friday of ordinary time or whatever. It was the Exaltation of the Cross. First time we've had a feast day on our podcast.
Exactly.
And it was a solemnity. 2 readings today, right?
2 reading.
And so, for those of you that don't know about the Exaltation of the Cross, we're getting ready to give it to you because the Exaltation of the Cross, even though it's not a person, human or divine, is the saint of the day. So, Steve, are you ready?
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for September 14th. Today we celebrate the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. This feast celebrates the finding of the cross on which Jesus died. In Jesus' day, a cross was a threat to anyone who defied Rome's authority. Through Jesus' death, it became a symbol of victory. In the 4th century, Saint Helena, mother of the Roman Emperor Constantine, went to Jerusalem in search of the holy places of Christ's life. Among those was the temple of Aphrodite, thought to be built over the tomb of Jesus. Constantine ordered the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre to be built on that site. During the process of excavation and construction, workers found 3 crosses. Legend has it that the one on which Jesus died was identified when its touch healed a dying woman. That cross immediately became an object of veneration. Both Catholic and Orthodox churches in the East celebrate the Exaltation of the Holy Cross today on the anniversary of the dedication of the Basilica. The feast entered the Western Church calendar in 629, after the cross was recovered from the Persians, who had carried it off 15 years earlier. There's more about the saints, along with inspiration and Catholic resources, at our website, saintoftheday.org. From Franciscan Media, this has been Saint of the Day.
Saint of the Day, the cross, found by Saint Helena, mother of Constantine. A lot of history there. Do they still teach that history in religion class?
I haven't come across it yet. The year just started. I haven't looked through all 3 books.
Actually, I did not know that until I was in Jerusalem. And we were there.
At the Holy Sepulchre?
Yeah. Now, one of them at the site, and they talk about where they discovered the cross. And then, you know, that's how all that came about.
Great story, though. They identified it because it healed somebody. I mean, just, you know, great story. Another thing that separates us from our Protestant brothers and sisters, relics.
Can you remember a story one of our professors told us? It happened to be a priest during the classes where they were in Turin, the Shroud of Turin. Turin. And they happened to be at this church, and they was just looking around, just the 2 of them, and felt an open door, and what's this door go to? They walked upstairs. Next thing they know, There's the shroud right in front of them. Just the two of them in a room with the shroud. Do you remember that
I
story?
do. I do. That wouldn't happen
That's
today.
amazing, you know.
That wouldn't happen
Yeah.
today. That's another. Have you been there to the Shroud of Turin?
Not yet.
Hey, you got a pilgrimage coming up too. You'll have to talk about that on one of the shows coming up. You're going.
If we can make it.
Everything gets canceled. Thanks, COVID. Great show, guys. Next show will be hopefully in a couple weeks. 25th. Is that right? 28th. 28th. Hey, it'll be the day after my birthday. We got a lot of birthdays going on here. Dallas, 60. I'll be 53. Padre will be 53 in December, right? December 8th? 9th. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. Probably continue in this vein, I think, maybe. More about the person of Jesus Christ. Maybe expand a little bit on that theology.
Theology a little bit.
Yep. So if you have any topics, or you know some interesting parishioners, good topic of conversation today. If you know somebody that's got an interesting story,
Kickboxer's got a gold medal.
or a photographer that's got some Emmys, whatever. Because next time we're here, we're gonna have an Emmy sitting right here.
7 of them.
7.
I'm not
Might
gonna
as
make
well
him
put all 7 out there.
We don't need to break. He's probably has like a special Pelican special briefcase that carries them all. He probably takes them to Thanksgiving dinner. So if you got anybody that has some interesting stories, let us know. Love to hear them, and especially if it ties into the faith in some way. It doesn't necessarily have to, but Steve's using his Emmys to spread the word. I mean, we couldn't do what we do without Steve, and we thank him for it over there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Instrumental in what we're doing as part of this small ministry here, and also live streaming. So, good work. If you're not a follower on Facebook here, give us a follow. And if you're listening to us on podcast, we still get about 20, 25 downloads a week on podcast across all 37 episodes. So interesting. That still happens. So if you're listening to us on the podcast, download some other episodes, but leave us a review or subscribe, and also support our ministries. ssfj.org is the short one. The long one's up on the screen for you. ssfj.org. You can support all of our ministries there. You can donate weekly. It's the way I do it. Electronically, makes it easy. You don't have to worry about somebody touching your envelope, because nobody wants to touch an envelope these days. So give electronically. Tell your friends about it. Spread the word. Y'all got anything else?
No.
That's it. Dallas, would you be so kind to give us your blessing, please?
May the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with us all.
And with your spirit.
And may Almighty God bless us in this room and everyone out there listening. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen. And until next time, I'm Deacon Tim.
I'm Deacon Dallas.
I'm Father Lynn.
Play the song.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time just getting ready? Let me be honest, I don't know one single thing that I haven't done to make you know